Dr. Shrinkie was at it again. Several times now he had mixed this pink potion he invented himself when he once got the notion. The potion supposedly would shrink him real small, but it didn't do that exactly. Not exactly at all. It didn't shrink him evenly, that was the pity. One part stayed large, the rest got itty-bitty. When I arrived, there was only an eye left looking at me, staring up from a body smaller than a pea. I had rescued Shrinkie before in the past, so this time I knew I would have to act fast. Honestly, I didn't know where to begin. Scruffling my hair and scratching my chin, Eureka! I got it! After some thinking, I took out my cell phone and called Dr. Blinky. Blinky, I said, it's me, Dr. Nudge. We must help Dr. Shrinkie. He's as small as a smudge. The funny thing is, he's got just one big eye, and he continues to shrink. I'm afraid he might die. I will come there directly and bring Dickie and Dot. We'll save Dr. Shrinkie from that awful spot. It will be up to us if Dr. Shrinkie ever is the same. Oh, why does Dr. Shrinkie have to live up to his name? Just then Dr. Blinky and the crew rushed in, sized up the situation, and began to preparing Get Growing Large Lotion for his small skin. We'd all seen Shrinkie make it just last December, and put everything in we could possibly remember. The recipe, it came to my mind. Now that was a piece of paper I was lucky to find. Well, the lotion is ready, and so it would seem that when it comes to mixing lotions, we make a great team. The problem we face is one you may have guessed. Dr. Shrinkie's too small to put this to the test. And that was when I started to frown. If we use too much, our good friend might drown. One of us must volunteer to get small enough to take the lotion to Shrinkie and put it on him and stuff. So I prepared a wee beaker of the growing big goo, 3 thimblefuls of lotion. That ought to do. I'll do it, said Dickie. Me too, says Dot. These two have the courage to become a small spot. Then somewhat suddenly things started to squeak. Dot's face began moving, and there's a bump on her cheek. The bump gets bigger than a blown-up balloon. I'm afraid she'll float out the window and up to the moon. Dickie's in pretty funny shape himself at this point. His muscles are twitching every bone and every joint until finally you can't tell where poor Dickie did go. He's just been replaced by one giant big toe. Lo and behold, Dr. Blinky cried out in a terrible thought. We all believed we were so clever when in fact we were not. We all did what Shrinkie did. We all just forgot to give Get Growing Large Lotion to Dickie and Dot. Have no fear, we'll be back in all the right size. Then we shall win the great Nobel Prize. And with a whole lot of twitching about my good friend, turned into a big ugly wart in the end. Oh dear, poor Blinky, for all of his charm, shrank symmetrically all over but the wart on his arm. So here I am now with this assortment of an eye and a cheek and a toe and a wart, and several minimized bodies with voices I can't hear, all yelling up at me but not coming in clear. Seeing the danger they might be in on the floor, I took my friends with me not to risk any more. I placed each one carefully up on my arm. They too were worried they might come to some harm. I gently placed them on the sofa, all in a row, with enough space in between them in which to grow. What an amazing thing to see them growing. Dottie's eyes and ears and knuckles are showing. Blinky's big stomach and his eyebrows too. I feel relieved. I think they'll all come through. Sure enough, they're all back at last with no one incomplete. They all have everything they need, a head, 2 hands, 2 feet, and no part stayed enormous while other parts stayed small. The sight of them all back together brings such joy over all that all explode with laughter and jump and dance around. My friends have all returned. My friends have all been found. We had all helped each other, which is what good friends do. Such an important lesson was all that we went through. Not one person of the 5 was more important than the rest. Each of us needed someone, and each of us did our best. But the most wonderful thing is that together as a team, we kept working onwards to realize our dream, and perfected the shrinking potion and received the Nobel Prize. Just how genial that was, you can't ever realize. How proud that it made us feel when they called us on the phone, and Dr. Shrinkie knew that he hadn't done it alone. Dick and Dottie felt special that all along they could share, and I myself no longer cared if I had no hair. As for Dr. Blinky, he had made his mother proud. She regretted the experiments which at home she had not allowed. And all the thick newspapers, radios, and TVs, it was announced, the names of us doctors through the continent pronounced.